In May 2023, something almost unheard of happened. A public company CEO went on an earnings call and openly admitted that a chatbot was hurting his business. The company was Chegg, and the chatbot was ChatGPT. Within hours, Chegg stock dropped by nearly 50% in a single day. Half of the company's value erased. Not because of fraud, an accounting scandal, or some kind of internal meltdown, but because students realized they didn't need Chegg anymore. For over a decade, Chegg had built a multi-billion-dollar business helping students with homework. During COVID, it exploded in popularity. Millions of students were paying monthly subscriptions for step-by-step solutions. Then, generative AI showed up. In less than a year, it did what competitors, edtech startups, and universities never could. It made Chegg optional. So what actually happened? How did a company that dominated online homework help get blindsided by AI? And more importantly, is Chegg just the first domino in a much bigger shift? Let's break it down. Chegg didn't start as a homework empire. It began as a textbook rental company. The name comes from chicken and egg, referencing the dilemma of students needing work experience to land internships. But the real money wasn't in shipping books. It was in becoming the quiet underground of the classroom. The place students went when assignments felt impossible and deadlines were closing in. Chegg built a subscription business around homework help. Students would upload questions from nearly any school subject, and Chegg would provide detailed step-by-step solutions. Behind the scenes, thousands of contract workers, many based in India, were manually solving problems and writing explanations. Every answer represented labor, and every solution had a cost attached. The platform worked because students were willing to pay more for the answers than Chegg paid to produce them. This wasn't some tiny tutoring site. It became an essential tool for college students. At its peak, Chegg had millions of paying subscribers. Revenue surged into hundreds of millions annually. And then COVID hit. When schools went remote and exams moved online, Chegg usage exploded. Students were isolated, and professors struggled with digital proctoring. Homework and tests were happening behind the laptop screens. In dorm rooms and childhood bedrooms, Chegg was always one browser tab away. Chegg became, for many students, an open secret. Some used it to study, others used it to cheat. Either way, subscriptions skyrocketed, and the stock soared. At one point, Chegg's market cap exceeded $12 billion. It looked unstoppable. But the business had a hidden fragility. Chegg's leverage came from friction. Finding reliable, structured solutions to complex problems was hard. Producing them at scale was expensive, and that imbalance created value. Chegg wasn't selling community, credentials, or even education. It was selling access to answers. And that only works if access is scarce. Students only pay if they believe they can't easily get those answers anywhere else. The entire model depended on information being difficult to produce and retrieve. That assumption held for over a decade, until AI shattered it. When ChatGPT launched in late 2022, it didn't look like a Chegg killer. But students realized something quickly. It could solve homework problems. More importantly, it didn't just return a solution, it held a conversation. You didn't need to search Chegg's database and hope someone had already posted your exact question or wait for a human expert to manually solve your question. You just pasted the question into ChatGPT and it generated a step-by-step solution instantly. And if you didn't understand the explanation, you could ask it to simplify the steps, ask for a different method, ask why a formula worked, ask it to quiz you. That back and forth changed everything. Chegg delivered static answers. ChatGPT delivered interaction. For students who were genuinely trying to learn, that flexibility made it far more powerful than a screenshot of a solved equation. Was it always perfectly accurate? No. But for most students, good enough and free beats perfect and $20 a month. And Chegg's CEO admitted it. In May 2023, he stated that ChatGPT was significantly impacting our new customer growth rate. That one sentence wiped out nearly half of the company's value in one day. Because ChatGPT didn't just compete with Chegg, it removed the constraint Chegg depended on, the need for a human to sit down and craft each solution. Chegg's model relied on humans generating answers. That means every additional solution has a labor cost attached. Generative AI flipped that. Once trained, a large language model can generate millions of answers at scale. The marginal cost per answer drops dramatically. Chegg had built a massive database of solved problems over years. AI didn't need the database, it only needed patterns. Chegg was optimized for a world where answers had to be stored and retrieved. AI created a world where answers could be generated on demand. It doesn't matter whether the question has been asked before. The model builds a response in real time. Once students got used to conversational, instant, free homework help, there was no going back. Chegg's moat evaporated. To their credit, Chegg didn't sit still. They partnered with OpenAI and launched Cheggmate, a GPT-4-powered assistant integrated directly into their platform. The pitch made sense. If AI is the future, Chegg's AI will be better. It would understand textbook citations. It would reference assigned material. It would connect students to human tutors when the model hit limits. On paper, that sounds strong. But here's the problem. Why would a student pay Chegg to access GPT-4 when they could just use ChatGPT directly? Chegg was now building on infrastructure it didn't control. The intelligence layer powering its comeback attempt belonged to someone else. Instead of owning the model, they were licensing it. And it's difficult to rebuild dominance when your core technology belongs to someone else. At the same time, Chegg began pivoting. They emphasized professional courses, internship prep, and live tutoring. They even experimented with aggressive student acquisition tactics, including a partnership with Tinder Gold that bundled subscriptions to reach more college users. The goal was clear: expand beyond homework help and lock in paying customers through broader student perks. But here's the thing. AI doesn't just compete with companies. It compresses entire business models. Chegg's core product was paywalled information, but generative AI makes information abundant. When answers are no longer scarce, the differentiator shifts to guidance, trust, and measurable results. If your company exists to provide explanations, sell access to solutions, or gate answers behind subscriptions, you are exposed. AI doesn't need to scrape your database. It can recreate your value proposition from scratch. That's terrifying for businesses built on exclusive access. And Chegg isn't alone. This is a warning shot for any company whose moat is control over information. In a world where AI can synthesize answers instantly, value moves towards support systems that machines alone can't fully replicate, not just explanations. Chegg is trying to move into those areas, but pivots are hard, especially when your legacy business is shrinking and investors are watching. And timing made it worse. Chegg's peak happens during COVID, a unique moment of remote exams and relaxed oversight. Some of that growth wasn't permanent. So when schools went back to normal and AI arrived almost simultaneously, it created a double shock. Demand cooled, and the substitute product was free. That's a brutal combination for any subscription business. Chegg didn't collapse because of fraud. It didn't implode because of reckless spending. It built a real profitable business that served millions of students. But it relied on something fragile: exclusive access to answers. Generative AI shattered that exclusivity. Once students realized they could get explanations instantly, conversationally, and for free, the subscription model cracked. For many students, ChatGPT didn't just replace Chegg, it felt better. It responds in seconds, adapted to confusion, and never ran out of patience. Chegg is still alive and it's still pivoting, but it will likely never return to its pre-AI dominance. And that's the bigger story, because Chegg wasn't overtaken by a sharper branding or a slightly cheaper competitor. It was overtaken by a technology that changed the cost structure of knowledge itself. If your business is built on controlling access to information, and a machine suddenly makes that information abundant, your advantage erodes faster than you can react. Chegg is just one of the very first public examples of this shift. It won't be the last. Thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in how AI is reshaping entire industries in real time, and which companies might be next, subscribe, because this transformation is just getting started.